This is KGW News at 11.
God save the King.
God save King Charles. Long live King Charles.
May the King live forever.
What a day in London. King Charles III, the 74-year-old son of Queen Elizabeth II, is officially crowned. The Archbishop of Canterbury placed the crown on the British monarch's head. It was the 40th coronation at Westminster Abbey and the first in 70 years. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Cook. Festivities continue throughout the weekend in the UK for what many consider a once-in-a-generation event. Maybe you watched the coronation from home. Alma McCarty met two women who certainly did. Both have special connections to this historic day.
Following the royal family might not be everyone's cup of tea, but those with fond memories or deep ties tuned in to witness history for the first time, or in one case, a second.
Crowds of people gathered in London Saturday morning, a front row seat to catch a glimpse of King Charles III and the royal family on the day of his coronation.
We were packed in, almost like little sardines.
Yeah, and we were three rows back from the front.
Among them, Jackie Hillsbury and her friend Sandy Schweier. The two met at Hillsborough High School and share a British connection.
We're both turning 60 this year, and that this was going to be our 60th birthday adventure. And King Charles made it, so it'll be even more special.
The pomp and pageantry, the banners and gold carriage, the entire experience exceeding their expectations.
During the ceremony, they sang God Save the King, and then everybody around sang God Save the King, and it just sent goosebumps. It's such a historic moment, and it's probably something that we may not see again, in
our lifetime.
And I love this.
Back in Vancouver,
Aged a little bit.
Jan White, turning 90 years old in October, watched her second coronation while reflecting on her first.
But I know we slept on the sidewalk overnight before the coronation, and the day of the coronation, we waved at the Queen, as she came by after her coronation.
In 1953, she saved up to accompany her friend.
This is Joan and her three brothers.
On the trip overseas when she was just 19 years old.
She lived in Luton, which is 35 miles north of London. She lived at 97 Harcourt Street. I remember that so well.
Those memories from the trip of a lifetime, still cherished on Coronation Day, 70 years later.
I picked up a lot of souvenirs, which my daughter-in-law has had, and I didn't realize she had so many. It's been a fun day for me looking at all the stuff and realizing all of this was because I went to England.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
And now to an update on Oregon Secretary of State Shemia Fagan. She's set to resign on Monday. Fagan stepped down amid controversy over her former side job as a consultant. She worked for a cannabis company, which she admits paid her $10,000 a month. On Monday, Fagan apologized to Oregonians. She said her $77,000 a year salary wasn't enough to support her family. Ethics rules do allow for outside employment, but now lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say it's time to consider tightening those rules and increasing salaries.
Yes, I do think we need to revisit those ethics laws, because I don't believe any statewide elected officials should be receiving outside money. I think it's too dangerous. But the one thing that I think Shemia Fagan was right about is that salaries are too low.
I mean, I think that the ethics rules, we should be looking at the ethics rules as well. I think the pay issue is something that we should address first. And that's what I believe that we are going to try to address this session.
The Deputy Secretary of State will step in for Fagan while Governor Tina Kotek considers a permanent replacement. Let's get you caught up now on tonight's other headlines. Terrifying moments in Texas after multiple people were shot and killed at a shopping mall. It happened around 3:30 this afternoon at the Allen Premium Outlets north of Dallas. Officials say at least 9 people, including the gunman, have died. 7 people were also sent to the hospital. 3 are in critical condition. This is a developing story. We'll post new information as we learn more. Now to Churchill Downs, where the deaths of 2 more horses overshadowed today's Kentucky Derby. Both horses were hurt on the track, then euthanized because of their injuries. This comes after 4 other horses died a week before the Derby. Those horses also suffer injuries. A statement from Churchill Downs says the deaths are highly unusual and they stand by their belief that their tracks are safe. We'll have more on the Derby later on in sports. In Portland, a dog declared dangerous after several attacks is back in custody. Multnomah County Animal Services impounded the pit bull mix named Bubby. They found him in southeast Portland this morning with his owner, Jesse Miller. Last month, the county impounded the dog after 2 serious attacks, including one on a jogger. Animal Services quarantined the pit bull with Miller's mother, but then Miller took the dog back without permission. Now, Animal Services says they'll no longer allow home quarantines for dogs who were off leash during attacks or for pets previously labeled as dangerous. And a big update from TriMet. In just a few hours, all MAX lines will be back in full service. Crews finished several track improvements along the I-84 corridor. Since mid-April, passengers have been taking shuttle buses between the Gateway Transit Center and Northeast 7th Avenue. Full service for the blue, green, and red lines resumes tomorrow morning. Now let's take a look live outside from our Rose City Skycam. Not so bad for our first weekend in May. Mostly cloudy today with a few light sprinkles here and there. Let's check in with meteorologist Joe Ranieri in the Weather Center. And Joe, I've been doing a lot of gardening and this weather is perfect for me, but I know a lot of people are anxious for some warmer temperatures.
Well, the wait will be about a week out. I can tell you that for the return of summer-like conditions. But a lot of people were out gardening. I was out planting a few things in my backyard. That's not true, Catherine. My wife and kiddos were out there. I was in the patio kind of watching, but it was a great weekend, at least to start the weekend. Right around 7 o'clock tonight, we started to see some light showers move through. For the most part, the heavier showers have been along the east side of the state, and that's going to hold true heading into tomorrow. Most of tomorrow morning and the really good part of the afternoon is going to be mainly dry. A few light showers possible later on in the evening hours. Cool, cloudy, and showery to start next week. A big warm-up late next week with highs getting into the mid to the upper 80s by next Friday. A slight chance for 90 degrees by Mother's Day. Again, that's about a week out, so we'll see what happens. But regardless, we are going to be seeing a gradual warm-up over the next few days. But I want to focus on tomorrow. So as we go into tomorrow morning, a lot of us, at least the west side of the state, are going to be seeing a lot of sunshine a good part of the morning and in the early part of the afternoon. Clouds increase by the later part of the day. Again, we remain dry a good part of the day. If you see anything, it's going to be very light and it's not really going to be measuring up to a whole lot. That changes by Monday. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Great. Thanks, Joe. We are just 9 days away from Oregon's special election. In Multnomah County, many are paying close attention to a ballot measure that would lead to a new tax. Money collected would pay for lawyers to help tenants who are facing eviction. Supporters say it would help fight homelessness. Opponents say it would hurt homeowners. This week on The Story, Pat Doris took a closer look at both sides.
In general, it seems like a fair move that both sides of an eviction would have a lawyer if they need one. The folks in Multnomah County who put this together modeled their right to counsel measure on laws from other cities that they consider successful.
When you provide free legal representation for tenants being taken to eviction court or at risk of displacement, in a surprising number of cases, you can keep that tenant housed until they can be stabilized.
You'll see the tax on the May ballot as Measure 26238. Instead of taxing everyone, this measure would only tax people who have capital gains. That's a term for the profit that you make when you sell something like property or a home or stocks or mutual funds, even digital currency. The tax would start at 0.75%, but it would be adjustable and it could go up or it could go down. On the other side, folks like the Portland Business Alliance say that tax would have a dramatic even if unintended impact on someone at any income level trying to sell their home.
It's our responsibility to stand up to proposals like this that may be well-intended to help get tenants representation, but that impact the very thing that we know is driving our region to a place of unaffordability.
So what are the chances of this passing? I dialed up pollster John Horvick for some insights. His group asked about the measure late last year and found 40% were in favor, but 47% were opposed. Traditionally, Portland voters love new taxes. The last time voters said no to a new tax was for a Portland school bond in 2011. The very next year, voters approved the measure. But Horvick with DHM Research says the Multnomah County capital gains tax, that's running into tax frustration. Many in the county feel they're already paying too much tax for too little service. The tax may also be impacted by what is typically low turnout for May elections. Multnomah County told us today that every registered voter should have their ballot by now. It could be sitting in your mailbox if you haven't checked yet.